The year was 2017, a moment in history that future historians will point to as the Great Awakening of the Central Processing Unit. For years, the market had been locked in a four-core stalemate, with prices high and innovation low. Advanced Micro Devices, a company that many had written off, stepped out of the shadows with a new architecture called Zen. They did not just release a product. They released a statement that high-end performance should not be a luxury for the few. This comeback was not merely about numbers on a spreadsheet, but about restoring the very soul of competition to a dying market. Today, the Ryzen name stands as a pillar of reliability, often being the default recommendation for anyone from the casual student to the professional editor. We must understand that the way these chips are presented to us is a masterpiece of psychological engineering. AMD mirrors the branding hierarchy of its rival, using the numbers 3, 5, 7, and 9 to guide our hands. This is not because the silicon itself demands such a division, but because we, as humans, crave order in the face of complexity. It is a clarity tool, a map for the consumer to navigate the vast ocean of performance tiers without drowning in technical jargon. By adopting this familiar language, they made the transition for long-time users seamless and intuitive. It is a lesson in the importance of communication, showing that even the most complex technology must be translated into a human story to be understood. When we look at the entry-level tier, the Ryzen 3, we see the gateway to the modern experience. These processors are the workhorses of the budget-conscious world, designed for those who need a machine that functions without pretense. In the realm of gaming, a Ryzen 3 can still hold its own when paired with a mid-range graphics card from the current era. It represents the democratized power of computing, allowing a student in 2025 to finish their thesis and play a round of their favorite game on the same humble device. However, there is a shadow of caution that follows this tier, as its limited core count serves as a ticking clock on its relevance. Choosing a Ryzen 3 is a calculated risk, a decision to prioritize the present moment over the distant future. While it can handle the AAA titles of today, the architectural demands of tomorrow are growing more ravenous. In a world where software is designed to consume every available resource, a 4-core processor may soon find itself gasping for air. It is a short-term solution for those whose financial reality dictates their choices, a bridge to a better build later down the line. We must ask ourselves if we are building a foundation for a year or for a decade. This choice reflects our personal philosophy of consumption and the value we place on longevity. Then we arrive at the Ryzen 5, the undisputed sovereign of the mainstream market. This tier is often described as the sweet spot, where the price you pay aligns perfectly with the performance you receive. With 6 cores and 12 threads, it possesses a balance that resonates with the way we actually use our computers. It is the silent partner for the gamer who streams their victories, and the reliable tool for the office worker who juggles 50 browser tabs. In the history of the industry, few products have achieved such a universal recommendation from experts and enthusiasts alike. It is the embodiment of the golden mean, avoiding the limitations of the low end and the excesses of the high end. The Ryzen 5 is not just a component. It is a statement of efficiency in an era of waste. It meets the demands of modern gaming engines without leaving expensive resources sitting idle and unused. When you look at the performance charts from 2024, you see this processor consistently delivering the most frames per dollar spent. It offers enough headroom for future software updates, ensuring that your investment remains relevant for several years to come. For the vast majority of people watching this, the Ryzen 5 is the end of the search. It is the point where the curve of diminishing returns begins to sharpen, warning us of the costs ahead. As we move into the territory of the Ryzen 7, the air becomes thinner and the stakes become higher. This is where we leave the realm of necessity and enter the world of high-end performance and professional productivity. These chips, often boasting 8 cores and 16 threads, are designed for those who refuse to wait for their machine to catch up. Imagine a filmmaker in 2025 rendering a high-definition project while simultaneously preparing their next scene. The Ryzen 7 provides the breathing room for such intense multitasking, making it a favorite for those who view their computer as a tool for creation. It is more than a gamer needs, but exactly what a professional craves. The Ryzen 9, however, is an entirely different beast, pushing the boundaries into the enthusiast and workstation territory. This is the zenith of the consumer lineup, offering core counts that were once reserved for massive servers in cooled data centers. For the average person, owning a Ryzen 9 is like driving a supercar through a suburban neighborhood. The potential is immense, but the opportunity to use it is rare. It only truly makes sense when paired with the most powerful graphics cards available, such as those released in late 2024. Unless you are compiling massive amounts of code or rendering complex three-dimensional animations, this level of power is a luxury of the highest order. We must peel back the layers of marketing to understand the reality of core counts in our daily lives. The resurgence of AMD was fueled by the more is better philosophy, but the truth is more nuanced than a simple tally. In the world of gaming, the software often struggles to utilize more than 6 cores effectively, leading to a plateau in performance. You might have 16 cores at your disposal, but if the game only talks to 6 of them, the rest are merely spectators. This reinforces why the Ryzen 5 remains the practical standard for the common user. It reminds us that in technology, as in life, having more tools does not always mean you can do the work faster. There is a persistent myth that clock speed is the only metric that defines a great gaming processor. While it is true that higher frequencies can provide a slight edge, especially in older titles, the gap is narrowing. Intel maintained its gaming dominance for years by pushing clock speeds to their absolute limits, sometimes at the cost of heat and stability. Ryzen processors are all unlocked, meaning they can be overclocked by the user to reach higher speeds. However, for the casual user, the gains from this practice are often minimal and can lead to unnecessary stress on the hardware. It is a game of inches in a world where we should be measuring in miles. Let us discuss the often ignored element of cache memory, the hidden reservoir of speed within the silicon. Cache acts as a high-speed buffer, allowing the processor to access frequently used data without waiting for the slower system memory. While it is a critical component of CPU efficiency, its impact on the average gaming experience is often exaggerated in marketing materials. Since Ryzen CPUs across the various tiers often share similar cache configurations, it is a specification that you can safely deprioritize. Do not let the technical specifications distract you from the real-world performance. It is easy to get lost in the numbers and forget that the goal is a smooth and responsive experience. For those who are building on a strict budget, the Ryzen APU represents a unique and powerful compromise. These units combine a central processor and a graphics processor on a single piece of silicon, eliminating the need for a separate graphics card. In the early 2020s, these chips became a lifeline for many during the global hardware shortages. They can deliver playable frame rates in popular titles, provided you are willing to turn down the visual settings. However, there is a hidden cost to this convenience, as the core counts are often lower than their dedicated counterparts. If you plan to add a powerful graphics card later, the APU may become the very bottleneck you were trying to avoid. One of the greatest gifts AMD gave to its community was the longevity of the AM4 socket. From 2017 until the transition to AM5, a single motherboard could support multiple generations of processors. This simplified the upgrade path and saved countless users from the expense of buying a new motherboard every 2 years. However, this compatibility came with its own set of challenges, requiring BIOS updates and careful chipset alignment. It taught us that a foundation must be strong, but it also must be flexible enough to adapt to the changing times. As we move fully into the AM5 era, we see the cycle beginning anew, promising another decade of stability. When you look at the box of a Ryzen processor, you will see suffixes like XG or even 3DV cache. These letters provide a glimpse into the specific tuning of the chip, such as higher factory clock speeds or the inclusion of integrated graphics. While these distinctions are important for those who wish to fine-tune their system, they should not paralyze your decision-making process. An X suffix might give you a few extra percentage points of speed, but it rarely changes the fundamental tier of the processor. Think of them as the trim levels on a car. They add comfort and specialized features, but the engine remains the heart of the machine. A common question arises every year. Should you always buy the latest generation of hardware? CPU prices tend to depreciate slowly, which often makes the newest models the better value in the long run. In 2025, the jump in architectural efficiency often outweighs the modest savings of buying a 3-year-old chip. While the used market can offer incredible deals for the savvy builder, the peace of mind that comes with a warranty and modern features is hard to ignore. Generational performance jumps are the true milestones of progress, and they should guide your hand more than the age of the product alone. As we look toward the future, the Zen architecture continues to evolve, pushing the limits of what is possible with silicon and electricity. We are standing at the end of the AM4 era, a legendary run that defined a generation of computing. For those looking to build today, the choice between the established stability of the old platform and the unproven potential of the new is a difficult one. It is a balance between the immediate satisfaction of a mature system and the long-term security of a new upgrade path. This transition reminds us that in the world of technology, nothing stands still, and the only constant is the relentless march of progress. The final verdict on the Ryzen lineup is not found in a laboratory, but in the hands of the people who use them. We have seen that the Ryzen 5 is the champion of value, the Ryzen 3 is the friend of the budget, and the Ryzen 7 and 9 are the tools of the elite. Choosing the right one is not about chasing the highest numbers or the most expensive box. It is about an honest assessment of your needs and a refusal to be swayed by the siren song of marketing. It is about finding the point where your ambition meets your reality, and your hardware supports your dreams without draining your life savings. As you sit before your screen, consider the incredible complexity that allows these billions of transistors to execute your commands. We live in an age of wonders, where the power once reserved for nations now sits on our desks. The story of AMD and Ryzen is a reminder that monopolies are fragile and that competition is the fire that forges greatness. It is a lesson that even the most dominant leaders can be toppled if they stop listening to the needs of the people. In your own life, do you find yourself becoming complacent in your success? Or are you constantly refining your craft to stay ahead of the curve? Take a moment to evaluate your own relationship with technology and the tools you use every day. Are you using a Ryzen 7 to merely browse the internet? Or are you pushing a Ryzen 3 beyond its breaking point? Understanding your tools is the first step toward mastering your environment and achieving your goals. We often blame our equipment for our failures, but more often than not, the limitation lies in our understanding of how to use what we have. If you have found value in this narrative, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below and tell us which tier of Ryzen has served you best. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today. And if you found this journey as fascinating as I did, please consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the heart of technology.